Everywhere I look, black men are talking about rosemary oil for hair loss, swearing it brought their hairline back and saying it's better than minoxidil. But as a certified trichologist, I had to ask, is this real or is this just another internet trend that got y'all wasting money? So I dug into the science and I found out what the actual truth is behind this stuff. And what I discovered shocked me. So today I'm going to break everything down for you and reveal if you should be using rosemary oil or not, once and for all. Before we dig into this, we got to start at the beginning. We can't figure out if rosemary oil actually works until you understand what's killing your hair in the first place. So I'm going to show you the 3 things your hair actually needs to grow, and then we'll see if rosemary oil stands a chance. Right now, as you're watching this, there are tiny blood vessels wrapped around every single hair follicle on your scalp. They're called capillaries, and their job is simple: send oxygen and nutrients to keep your hair alive. But those blood vessels can get restricted and choked off. It's kind of like a house with clogged plumbing. So even though your heart is pumping blood, not enough is reaching your follicles. And when that happens, your follicles struggle to grow or maintain thick strands. And so which means that your hair growth slows down instead of fully stopping. So the first thing your hair needs to survive is healthy blood flow. Now, imagine building a house on a weak foundation. If the base is unstable, the whole structure suffers. Walls crack, systems fail. Essentially nothing holds up. Now, your scalp works the same way. You have pollution from the air, heavy ingredients from gels and creams that just doesn't rinse off. They build up, creating a stressful environment for your follicles. This constant stress leads to chronic inflammation. And when that happens, your follicles can't focus on their main job, which is growing hair. They're stuck in survival mode. So the second thing your hair follicles needs is a clean, healthy, and internal system that keeps inflammation under control. But there's a third problem most influencers never mention. As a black man, your body naturally has testosterone, but a specific enzyme can convert it into a much more aggressive hormone called DHT. Now imagine your hair follicles have tiny locks on them. These are called androgen receptors. DHT is like the wrong key for that lock. It fits, but when it turns, it sends a signal to your follicle to self-destruct by shrinking. Over time, the follicle gets smaller, the hair weaker, until it finally gives up. The process is called miniaturization, and it's the key reason your hairline keeps creeping back. So your hair might want to grow, but the DHT is systematically shutting down the factories. To fix hair loss, you have to tackle all 3 of these issues. But first, if you want your own personalized plan to regrow your hair so you know exactly what to do at every stage, then check out the link in the video description. Now, most black men think, cool, I just grab something from the pharmacy, that'll fix it. But any solution, natural or pharmaceutical, has to address all 3 problems, not just one. Minoxidil dilates blood vessels to give you better blood flow, but it doesn't touch inflammation or DHT. Now, finasteride blocks DHT production, but it doesn't improve blood flow or reduce inflammation. That's why most guys use both, because by themselves, they're incomplete solutions. But they both can have some nasty side effects. And I don't know about you, but damn, I don't want those side effects. So I had to know. Does rosemary oil actually address all 3 and help you regrow hair? First, I looked at blood flow. In a key clinical study from 2015, scientists put minoxidil and rosemary oil head to head. At the end of the trial, the results were surprising. The group using rosemary had a similar increase in hair count as the men who used minoxidil. It turns out that rosemary oil is a powerful vasodilator, helping open up blood vessels and feed your follicles. So problem 1, blood flow, check. Next, I look at the follicle shrinking DHT. We know it comes from an enzyme called 5-alpha reductase. When researchers analyzed rosemary oil, they found compounds that can inhibit that very enzyme. So rosemary oil acts as a mild natural DHT blocker. It's like putting up a roadblock to stop the production of that hair-killing hormone on your scalp. So problem 2, protecting from DHT, check. Finally, I looked at inflammation, that pollution building up on your scalp. Scientists found that rosemary oil is rich in an antioxidant called carnosic acid. That compound helps calm the scalp and reduce irritation. So, problem 3, reducing inflammation, check. But what happens when you put all that together? Scientists took 90 men and women and split them into 3 groups. One used a rosemary and lavender oil blend, another used a rosemary and castor oil blend, and a third rubbed in plain coconut oil as a placebo. Everyone applied the oils for 90 days. By the end, both rosemary groups saw faster growth, thicker shafts, and less shedding than the placebo group. So yeah, rosemary is a real player in hair regrowth. Now, I'm linking all studies down below so you can see the data for yourself. So now I knew rosemary oil had real science behind it, but I had one more question. If it works so well, why do so many people say, I tried rosemary oil and nothing happened? So I started digging into the research again to figure this out. You see, there's two types of rosemary oil, and 90% of black men are buying the wrong one. That 2015 clinical trial where rosemary matched minoxidil, they didn't just use any rosemary oil. That's rosemary cineole. But most people go on Amazon, type rosemary oil, and buy whatever has the most reviews. 9 times out of 10, they're getting rosemary verbione. It might smell great, but it's not moving the needle on your hairline. To actually dilate those vessels and block DHT, you need cineole chemotype. That's the one used in most of the credible research. But even if you get the right one, most people still mess it up because essential oils are concentrated. You can't just dump it straight on your scalp like you're seasoning food. You got to dilute it with carrier oils. And for black men, you want carriers that protect both scalp and hair, like jojoba oil, Jamaican black castor oil, or sweet almond oil. Mix it in a small dropper bottle, shake it up, and you're ready to start feeding your follicles. But to make sure you're not wasting time or money, here's how you got to apply it. First, use the dropper to apply directly to those 3 zones on your scalp: hairline zone, mid-scalp zone, and crown zone. With the pads of your finger, press down, don't scrub or rub. It's just gonna cause way more issues. So you wanna wait a few minutes to allow the oil to absorb into the skin. Next, massage using the pads of your fingers in slow circular motions with a firm pressure, at least for a minute. And you want to do each zone. So you do a minute in zone 1, your hairline zone, a minute in your mid-scalp zone, and a minute in your crown zone. Finally, apply it at night 4 to 5 times per week. And consistency is everything, fellas. So if you stay consistent, you'll start seeing results, just like those trials showed. Now that you understand exactly how to use rosemary oil, you've got to see the dirty tricks that Big Pharma uses to keep you subscribed to their hair loss drugs forever. Click this next video where I break down exactly how they designed the system to trap you and how to break free.